So aside from 2 counts of being found not guilty on especially aggravated robbery counts, he was found guilty of aggravated robbery with a deadly weapon. He was found guilty across the board. And this was a shock to many people considering the evidence presented by the state. And just to give everybody an idea here, when you're looking at this, so he was found guilty, and that includes 18 counts of murder. And the judge merged those together for an automatic sentence of life in prison with the possibility of parole. Now, he's going to be officially sentenced in September. I want to break down what this means and whether or not this was a shock. So, of course, joining me again is Melba Pearson, but also we have with us criminal defense attorney Gabriela, Teresa, Gonzalez. Thank you both again for coming here. Gabriela, I'm going to start with you because we haven't had you on the show yet. So I want to start with you. Is this a shock? I was shocked. Were you shocked?
I was pretty shocked. I'm not going to lie. I think that the state's main witness being George Thomas, this was someone who was already found guilty, convicted of murders, and had a lot to lose by not singing the story that needed to be sung in order to secure him a better deal, which was 50 at 25%.
Melba, I'm sorry, Gabriela. I guess the question is, and this is the part that I'm confused about, he didn't seem to be the most credible of witnesses, Melba. And the other concept is all the state had really was his DNA, was Boyd's DNA on a holster, and that he may have been driving this car. But none of the victim's DNA was on him. You didn't have any really other evidence tying him to the crime. So what do you make of that?
Yeah, definitely very perturbing because Boyd was one of the last people to be charged. There was a great lag time between the initial charges for the first 4 co-defendants and then him, and that spoke to the weakness of the evidence against him. But I think a lot of that played into it as well is the media attention. I mean, this was a very contentious case throughout the state of Tennessee. I think it would have been very difficult to find jurors that did not know of the tragedy that happened to these 2 young people. So I think that may have played a role as well. But it's not, that's not the norm to say that one witness, basically one, co-defendant that testified against another, that being the sole basis pretty much of the case. The DNA on the holster, right. Again, there's a lot of alternative explanations for that. So that was not. That verdict was a little surprising. Yeah.
Look, enough said. I get it. Gabriela, let me ask you this. Was there a danger, given how gruesome and heinous this attack is? And I got to tell you, we've covered a lot of cases here on Law and Crime. This one, unfortunately, stands out in my mind, maybe just right up there with some of the worst. Did that cloud maybe some of the jury's judgment and say, hey, listen, maybe the evidence isn't so strong, but this guy had some connection. This was a heinous crime. We got to find him guilty.
Absolutely. And a lot of times with juries, when they see smoke, they think fire. This is someone who is associated with very gruesome attacks. And let's be honest, this is a person of color who's facing lifetime sentences for the murder of 2 white people in Tennessee. So it's going to be very difficult for a defendant of his nature, someone who's surrounded with this heinous crime, to be seen as innocent in this conspiracy.
Well, look, we got a lot to break down with this Boyd verdict. And again, as we said, the 18 counts of murder that he was found guilty with carry automatic life in prison with the possibility of parole. But he's going to be sentenced officially on September 18th for the remaining counts. When we come back, we're going to break it all down. Stay tuned.